Welcome to Multifamily Rockstars. If you are new to apartment investing or already experienced, you will enjoy this show. You will hear from the leading experts in multifamily real estate so that you can be a better owner, operator, and investor. Real people, real stories, life-changing. And now, your host, Ryan Christopher Nunes.
Well, welcome to today's show. Today we have Gary and Heidi Young. They live in Dallas, Texas, and are general partners in 587 units in the Dallas MSA. Their vision is to improve the lives of people within apartment communities by partnering with nonprofit organizations. Today's episode is all about impacting lives. Gary and Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Great
So good to have you on.
Be on here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. Walk us through your background.
Yeah, well, I'm a physician. Heidi has an MBA in marketing. I was burned out in 2016, heard about multifamily, and we were just absolutely convinced this was the way to go. 2 months later, we were under contract for 11 units and jumped in. I was way too busy at work to do it all myself. Heidi jumped in and just started taking over a lot of just the management, learned everything there.
We both had to learn. I mean, that's the whole point in jumping in is hands-on learning is the best way to learn for us. You know, we just needed to be able to see what is it really like to own and manage properties and to see every aspect of this entire multifamily business.
So we felt like we learned enough, and in the next year, we syndicated 77 units in 2017. 2018, we joined a partnership, a GP partnership, syndicated 310 doors out in Dallas near the Love Field Airport. And last year, August 2019, we closed sole syndicators on another 200 units in our favorite market, Irvine, Texas.
Awesome. No, congratulations. When I first met you, it was like this exponential growth, from 11 to 77 to, 300 something. So that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the vision you have for your apartment communities. I think that's something that you do, different. I've invested in 13 deals, and obviously I'm an investor in one of your deals. And so just, walk us through what you do that's different for your residents and your tenants.
We believe that the value add component is not simply to the exterior property, the physical aspects of the property, but we look at the people also as an important part of where value can be added. We want them to become people who grow as well and learn how to be just better people in general, so we try to care for them as much as possible and teach them and encourage them and help them know that they are valuable.
That's great. So, and I've seen, so many pictures and so forth. So maybe just walk the listeners through, some initiatives you've taken at your property that's just been a little bit different than some other communities.
We do partner with nonprofit organizations as much as possible because we don't want it to necessarily come off of our
NOI.
So that was always the thought. It's like, well, there are so many people who want to be able to pour into this particular demographic that we serve. So, I'm just looking around and trying to find people who have the same kind of heart for others and put those programs into place. And it's just been wonderful how we can bring those aspects. Like when we first took over in August of last year on the 200 units, it's back to school, right? So right away, I'm thinking, how are these particular people going to be able to pay all that extra expense for school supplies and backpacks? And I mean, it's really a strain on their budgets. So right away, just was able to access as many possible venues that can pour into that. And we provided stuffed backpacks. I went on to the Irving website and found out what is it that every grade needs. And then we were able to get all those supplies for each separate them out by grade level, because obviously a kindergartner is not going to get those graph composition books. They're not going to need protractors and rulers and things. So, just being able to put everything into whatever backpack that they chose. They got to choose their colors, and we just dropped in their grade level school supplies. And they were just so thrilled to be able to have that kind of help. And then therefore they're able to pay their rent a little bit easier.
It was a family event, so we all packed up stuff together, and even our church friends, they got together and donated a lot of stuff. It was an opportunity for them to pour out to others too.
No, that's fantastic. That's great.
We did that again this year, of course, and thank you for.
Of course. No, it's a pleasure. I think of all I get 13 deals, so I get a lot of these investor updates. But it's always great when you're seeing the impact on lives, and that seems to be thematic in the updates that I get from you, and going above and beyond. And so with that, how much time? Maybe just tell the listeners a little bit how much time you spend at your properties a week, and what type of work you have to do while you're on site.
And we go down to the property at least once a week. When COVID hit, we stopped and we were meeting online, but we really feel there's a true value in going down, seeing the property, seeing the units that need some work, just walking the grounds. Is it clean or not? What does the laundry room look like? But also just interacting with the staff.
Yes.
Our staff, they belong to the property management company technically, but I feel that they really have a sense of loyalty to us. Heidi brings them lunch and gift cards. That's
awesome.
Things like that, and really speaks into their lives and cares about them, gives them baby gifts when they have a child, or things like that.
That's important.
They're people, yeah.
And they're friends. They are friends.
They know they're being cared for, just in the same way that we want to care for every level of this particular acquisition. We want it to be a win for everybody, from the people that we borrow money from to the people that are on the property, so the staff is absolutely included in that. Yeah. We want this all to be a continuous blessing for everybody.
Oh, that's great. And then, in terms of spending time away from the property, just, maybe go into what that's like when you're not on site. What other type of work do you have to do to, have that type of resident impact and personnel impact?
We have such a big spectrum of what goes on, because Gary does a lot of all of the numbers and all of that, and then I'm doing the other part that has to do with heart. So he's the head, I'm the heart.
That's how you split it up.
Being at the bottom there. I look at the numbers. I scrub the numbers. It's kind of a forensics project, to make sure things are going well. We do have very good video cameras on site. So I see Heidi on her phone looking at the
constantly
property.
Looking, what's going on?
Yeah.
That's what worked well for us during COVID, though, is having put all those cameras in place. I'm able to still at least see the physical aspects of the property. I'm not able to hear what I hear when I'm actually there. I mean, when I'm actually on property, I really am doing an intel project. I'm constantly listening. What are these people saying? I hear residents talking amongst themselves. What are they complaining about, or what are they praising about? And, how are they interacting with our staff? What is our staff saying? How are our maintenance staff doing? I mean, that's really important. What are they seeing? Because they're going into those apartment units and seeing what's actually inside.
You're not going to get the information that you would get just being virtual. You have to go down there, and when you look at people face to face, you interact. You really get you get information that you would never get otherwise.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. And then, for the different events, that you've hosted, what events or other interactions with your residents have had the biggest impact on them?
Probably one thing that was memorable was Christmas, where we were able to, we try to do this every year, of course, but Children's Hunger Fund was such a wonderful donor for us during that time period.
Yeah, this is when we just first took over the 310 units, and the CEO of Children's Hunger Fund just happened to be in Dallas, and we had lunch with him and his wife, and we were telling them about this project, and he said, "Hey, could you use some toys?"
We didn't know how wonderful that was going to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we thought it was only food, but boy, the toys were amazing too. We thought it was going to just be some Beanie Babies, and it turns out they had these amazing Lego sets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
we had so much fun because they partner with others in the local area as well. So those local nonprofits were able to utilize these toys and do games and, just have a big party at each of our different properties. And having those parties and just celebrating that Christmas time, and then being able to give away $130 Lego sets to some of these kids was just incredible.
It was amazing.
It was just so much fun.
This is where my kids start getting jealous and asking me for that.
It was. Yep.
That's awesome.
A lot of jealousy amongst us partners.
No, that's fantastic. And then, in terms of Google reviews, we live in a social media driven world. How do you, how much stock do you put into that, and do you monitor that? And, are there any proactive ways that you look to improve the social media presence at the property and the reviews?
For our properties, that demographic does not really take a lot of stock in those Google reviews. They really don't even look.
Yeah, we don't think anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do.
We do look though.
We look.
Yeah. We look, and I think more than anything, it's to find out what are people saying, what are they complaining about? And if they're complaining, is it a legit complaint, or are they just kind of being a pain? And but it helps us to interact with our staff, find out what's going on, and find out, is there something going on with this person? Can someone reach out to them? And some of the nonprofits, we have people that will come down and actually open up a conversation, knock on their door, bring them a food pack, and ask them, "Hey, what's going on? Are you doing okay?" And it's another opportunity.
Yeah, we have access to these food boxes for anybody that's having some kind of a struggle. So we're able to get those to each of those residents pretty quickly.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And then, with that, I guess, and I think when we first met, you kind of walked me through some tougher situations you may have had with some tenants, and how do you kind of balance, rent is due versus, compassion. So maybe walk us through maybe some examples of whether help to bridge the gap or some other partners.
That is the first thing that we want to do, though. When they are late or unable to pay, immediately they get a food box delivered to them.
They get a visit in a food box.
They get a visit in a food box, and to find out what's going on. Has somebody lost a job?
COVID.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So during COVID, a lot of food boxes dropped at doorsteps.
Wow.
And that actually helps them pay for the groceries if that's what it was. That they can't provide for their family for 2 weeks. Well, here's a solution. You've got that right here.
And we have resources where we try and connect them with people, groups who can help them pay a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the difficult ones are the people that don't even attempt to pay and don't answer phone calls, don't answer knocks at the door, and just really try and hibernate away. Those are the more difficult ones.
Yeah, the ones that are choosing to maybe take advantage.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes don't want to admit they need help or so forth.
Yeah. But the leasing staff is always prepared to give links to different places and tell them, hey, on Wednesdays and Fridays, go over there. You can just drive through and get a bunch of food. This is where this is. I'm always looking for where there's things available for people. And that is part of my outside of the property time.
Sure. So, as we talked about the heart, so, if we say, okay, well, the business aspect of that in terms of key performance indicators, KPIs, what things could you look at to say, the efficacy of these initiatives, and whether that's in renewal rates? I mean, where do you see obviously you spend a ton of time at the property, a ton of time making these initiatives happen. So, what's been the, I guess, financial return, or, in what stats can you see the efficacy of those initiatives?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if you can really see it. If you look at it as maybe a resident retention program, would it make a difference? We really don't know. I don't think we do it for that reason, and so maybe that's why we don't track it that much. We do it because it's kind of become the heart of why we do what we do now. And the reason why we want to acquire again, you can get another great property that cash flows and does all the things that you want it to do. But what we're looking at for now is really a property where we could make a difference in the lives of people. We want community space. We want an environment where we can maybe do more programs and things.
So during this COVID era, we have remained very strong, not only in occupancy, but collections. Yes, there were people who were taking advantage of things, and with the eviction moratorium, there was a bit of stress on those particular units. But yet at the same time, it's like, it's going to work out. And those people who were, of course, they got food boxes too. You don't stop doing kind things for those even that are taking advantage. And maybe that's why they chose to move out once things, we had to bring them to the eviction court.
If the people that weren't,
anybody that tried to pay anything, we weren't going to do anything. But yet those who were taking advantage, it was specific to that.
Yeah. And then you had mentioned, you're looking for assets that have a community center. What else is part of your investment criteria?
I think certainly value add is, you can't get anywhere without a value add component, but we look at it from the point of view of the property as well as the community. We like to get on a property, the kind of property that excites us, or at least for me, is something that, you see it and you envision what it can look like after you get done with it. One example, which I didn't see until actually Heidi really proposed it, was there's this whole big dirt space in front of our laundry room. And when we spent the money and put, nothing would grow in that area
because it's covered with trees.
Big tree there. Yeah.
That's like my front lawn.
Yeah, you can water it, right?
Yeah.
So we put this artificial turf in, and my gosh, it just became the biggest.
They love it so much. And during this COVID era, it's a place where people can gather. You see kids out there every afternoon doing somersaults and practicing their tumble or whatever, awesome. They threw out their picnic blankets immediately. They have parties out there, the piñata thrown over the tree.
So we put a great video camera in so we could see it. So we don't want to let the dogs poop on it either. So.
And then they also know that they need to clean up because they're being watched. And, that was another rule that was thrown out there. It's keep this clean.
We want to have a movie night, right there. So.
Oh, that's
Somebody
awesome.
called it a mud hole to an amenity.
Yeah, no, that's it sounds like it's an attractive renovation there. And then what about, timing now? Is now a good time to buy? And how do you feel about the market conditions now?
Yeah, I think it's always a good time to buy if you can buy the right asset at the right price. I think it's a little more risky with not knowing what's going on with COVID, with the moratorium on evictions. We have a much better idea now where things are going to go, just because people are paying rents. I think the pricing, cap rates remain compressed. So there is some risk, but because of the pricing never really dropped, I think it
And interest rates being so low.
Yeah, it's still a great time with those interest rates. So I think finding something is key. And like, for example, your deal. That was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. No, and then Irving, when you look at your bio and the assets that you've acquired, it's like Irving again, Irving again. So what do you like about that submarket, and why did you choose that?
We love that demographic. You're right. We love the people on the properties that we've purchased, mainly because they have a very strong work ethic and also conscience. In general, they're conscious to pay. Yeah. They really do want to be able to do what's right. And we really appreciate that, of course. And we learn to speak Spanish also.
When we first started out, we just happened to get a property in Irving back in 2016, learned everything on it. And Heidi learned to speak Spanish during that time, so much better than she did back before. I still haven't, but
high school Spanish, right? And had to actually.
She's amazing. She really speaks Spanish well. But now that we know the demographic, I think, and the properties and what goes on there, we just feel like is our sweet spot, and so that's where we want to invest. And then, of course, the synergy of having properties nearby is just
sure.
That is it.
Yeah. That helps a lot. Yeah, no, for sure.
We're actually able to kind of sometimes rotate staff through. If we've got some major project going on that we need somebody else that's not quite so busy, we can.
No, that's great. That's great.
We just bought a jetter, for the sewer clean out and so we're just going to rotate it through the properties and
that's awesome.
Have routine maintenance.
Have clean sewers.
Have those backups.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And then in terms of quick screening criteria, how I think a big thing in this business is spending time on the deals that matter and spending zero time on the deals that don't. So how do you put things into those two piles? One is the spend more time pile and one is the trash.
Yeah, I guess that's my job. So when you get all kinds of deals that come through, and the Class A's and the really nice stuff that you're not going to go after, that's easy. But I think it's really, is there a value add component or not? And so you can look at a nice property and you see it, but you have to just see, look through the OM or what's there. Is a story that you can buy. It's 20 units, 20%, value add. That's just not going to do it. I think you want to get the whisper price, and you can do a quick numbers game by just if all is the income, you can always take that divided by 2 and get the NOI and just do a quick math calculation and see if the whisper is even close to what they possibly could get. So
sure.
Yeah, a lot of quick things you can do. Yeah.
Got it. No, that's helpful. You mentioned the community center and having that vision, and I feel the same way. Is that for me, it's like, can I bring my kids there, and how do I feel? As a prospective resident, do I have a good feeling or not? One thing is the numbers, but another is just is it going to be attractive to both tenants and a prospective buyer? And anything else that you look for on an asset?
Location is a big deal.
Oh yeah. Would I feel safe there at night? Is for us. I mean, that's.
Heidi had to spend one night, not that long ago.
Just recently when staff couldn't, when property management could not provide somebody to relieve our leasing manager, it's like she was taking care of everything.
We had a fire on the property.
Yes.
We had so the sprinkler system got shut off. The fire department made us do a fire watch. We had to have someone actually be on site and watch the property, make sure there's no fire. And so our leasing manager was supposed to be the one doing it.
Oh, well, she was supposed to find somebody to do it. Yeah. And if property management cannot find, she was so busy. So I'm calling people trying to see where can we get somebody, and there was nobody available in the many companies that we were calling who were putting the word out. It's like, well, she's not staying there overnight. She's already been, she would burn out. So I had to work the next day, or, I get to sleep there and do the fire watch.
Yes. No, that's
atypical, for sure.
And then in terms of maybe talk about some challenges that you've all faced in your multifamily career. What's that?
Besides that one.
The fires and people should know that unfortunately those types of things are part of playing in the BNC space is unfortunately those happen.
Once in a while, not very often.
Yeah.
So what was the question?
Yeah, sorry. So maybe talk about some of the three biggest challenges that you faced in your multifamily career.
Oh.
Three biggest challenges.
For me, that's easy. I think it's just fear.
Yeah.
That's
always good.
That's number 1 through 3, I think.
Okay. Fear of missing out, or fear of.
The first one was fear of just jumping in, and I think that's why we started with 11 units, because it was something very manageable. We did it, and we just jumped in 2 months after learning about it. But if you don't jump in, you're just not going to learn. So that was one. I think capital raising is another one. You get a great deal, you believe in it, but will everyone else believe in it?
Sure.
You're raising $6 or $8 million, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. Heidi, anything on your side?
Well, sometimes getting adequate and competent staffing is sometimes a challenge. That was why I stayed the night instead of, if you can't find somebody, you can't find somebody. They had sent somebody, but that person only stayed an hour. It's like, well, that doesn't help me. Yeah. So, if property management doesn't come through, I am not letting that just go by the wayside. That's when I think for us as the people who are GPs need to really look and see, what do we do then to fill those gaps when there's some issues that aren't being taken care of.
In terms of things that you wish people had told you earlier, anything that you would share or suggest people to heed some recommendations?
Well, we just wish we learned about it earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. The things that people say about multifamily are true. I mean, you really need to get in. One of the big benefits is that Heidi became, qualified as our
the real estate
professional, and that has been a huge tax advantage. So just it's not just the income stream, it's and potential for retirement, it's the tax advantage.
Yeah, being able to write off depreciation off of Gary's W-2 income, I mean, it makes all the difference in a tax situation like that. That cost segregation study is vital.
Yeah. And I think as we're discovering who we are, and that we just control over the property is we just have a hard time releasing the property management to do what they do. And I think discovering how anal retentive we are about things has been kind of a revelation to us.
Yeah, going through those numbers, I think, is really important. So, I mean, when you talk about discovery, it's like, okay, really needing to forensically look through every single financial report that comes through each month and be able to see, okay, where are the issues? What do we need to do? We were discovering, maybe our staff wasn't being as efficient. Do we need to do a rotation of somebody that's maybe not really performing, or are there being?
We have great staff.
Yeah, are people coming on property that are just sitting around? We don't need to pay for that. Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And then, obviously you've partnered very well with each other. You've partnered with some folks in the past. Anything that you can share to people, because this business is so much about partnership, any tips or thoughts that you want to share about how people should go about thinking about potential partnerships with others?
Yeah. I think, you got to think about who you are first and what you need, what sets you apart, what do you really not like, and what do you really look for. And then what are your strengths? Because you really want people who complement your strengths. So things you're weak in, you want people to really, have those other gifts and strengths. And I think that's why we were, used to be really irritating when, Heidi's different from me, but now I see the strengths, and it's just cast a new light on our relationship. But the other thing is you want to look at your values. What's important to you? The honesty, integrity. Do you really? What's your work ethic like? And is someone going to do a heck of a lot more because of their work ethic, and the other person kind of just not do much? So I think those are the things you have to really discover.
And ability to communicate.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
So how do each of them or us all communicate with one another? And what is our best mode of communication? Gary's an emailer, I'm a texter, it's like, but we have to know that about each other. How do you get to somebody when you need them?
Awesome. No, that's all very well taken. As we go to asset management, walk us through your asset management process and what things that you focus on when you talked about digging through the reports, and just maybe touch upon what you look at and any suggestions for the listeners.
Yeah, I think everyone has to look at the financials. Obviously, I think even on a bigger picture, really, to know what you really want to achieve on the property. What do you want it to look like? Because we have a kind of a vision of what we want with the staff, to how they approach it. Just even the bonus structure, we want to revise the bonus structure so that they all participate, and it's about the NOI as opposed to just leasing.
Yeah.
It's a cost savings as well, and I think. Oftentimes, it's just a leasing manager that gets a bonus rather than giving it to the maintenance staff as well.
But they're the ones who are going in and trying to make sure that they get those units ready.
Those guys are working hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What else?
Asset management. Oh, so one thing I think that is important that I'm not sure that everybody always does in the beginning when the market was just going to float your.
Yeah, it's going up anyway.
Yeah, then it didn't matter quite so much. But I think, especially since COVID, it just kind of highlights the fact that we need to be flexible. You can't just go in and you've got your CapEx projects that you're going to just do and spend all that money and just leave it. I mean, you have to actually get onto the property and see what is it that these residents truly will pay for.
Yeah.
So for us, we go in and we've got all these ideas, but there needs to be that ability to flex, to pivot when we need to. So, when we went in and we've got this plan that we're just going to put yards all in, well, they don't care so much about the yards. They want other things. And you come on and you find out, what will they pay for? And so that's where we're looking into as many ideas as possible. And what's new, what is innovative. You can't just go in with all your standard things that have been done. So
Sure.
what can we do that they actually really need and will pay for?
Yeah, it's everything's readjusted with COVID. So.
What things have you found to be successful? Things that tenants want?
Well, like I was saying, they really do love that community space. And I think that there was a lot of buzz that went through when that came on and people came in. They have parties there now.
The green space the mud space to green space. Yeah.
Mud space to green space. Yeah. And it's right in the center too.
Yes.
So we are able to make it a place where everybody's watching each other, and that's creating community. And that's really what we were looking for, is like, how can we actually get them to be familiar with one another so that they're caring about each other, and also monitoring, who's keeping it clean and who's not.
I think the other part is you really need a staff that is caring, but also exhibits a caring communication.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not about, hey, have you paid this, but are you having trouble paying it, and is there anything we can do to help you? And being able to have resources to bring them when they're having trouble.
Yeah.
That's great. And then you had touched upon third-party property management and kind of that healthy tension that exists. But any tips on how to best align with third-party property management? Let's say someone's ready to take over a property, they have an acquisition, they're taking over. Any thoughts or ideas on how to best kind of level set expectations properly?
Well, I would say that you do want to speak to the regional of what it is that you are wanting for that particular staff. What is your vision? I think that's important, that they know what your vision is, so that when they are interviewing for your staff, for your property, these are the things that you require. Not just, okay, well, they're not filling it with just a body, they're filling it with a body that meets your requirements.
Yeah. Expectations all set prior to takeover. Yeah.
And then in terms of leasing traffic and renewals, any thoughts on what you've seen might work or not work, given kind of the demographic that you target?
Yeah, Facebook has been pretty effective, I think.
That is how they tend to.
But what I've heard,
which is it's free for you all, right? I guess, or are you paying?
Yeah, you can do Facebook ads too, but what we're trying to do is a group called rentlinks.com. I don't know if
we use that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that'll be really helpful as we gotten our property management team to use that. It's something we had to implement as opposed to the property management. But
we've tried a few different things, but for this particular demographic, the Facebook is where they find the places that they want to. Yeah.
And then they tell their families.
Yeah, it is a lot of
friends. Yeah.
This community.
It's community driven, right?
Yeah.
I hear the story of the queen bee, and she brings all her family.
Yeah.
And then in terms of, you had touched upon you're doing your own, you bought a hydrojetting machine and you're doing your own hydrojetting. Any other way that you found to keep expenses low?
Well, we did a water savings program. I think that was helpful. We're running the numbers now. I think the initial estimate is probably it's an over 50% savings on the water, but we want to make sure we're comparing apples and apples.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sure.
What else?
We are always looking for best prices for all the products that we use.
Yeah.
Constantly. I guess that's where we as asset managers differ, in that we don't just trust whatever the property management throws at us. We are looking ourselves for best prices.
we actually want to control the purchasing, and that's a common point to us. I think the other thing is when the property management team knows that we're looking at like the water bill and the things, the cost, we actually are tracking it, and they're tracking it with us. If you're not tracking it, you're not going to save. But if you're tracking it, you're always going to keep your eye on it. So I think if we're doing it together with the property management team, it's going to get better.
Yeah, and as far as like doing any kind of CapEx projects, we are still always looking at what's the cost, what do you,
Sure.
how much are these lights, like that kind of thing.
And do you go out and get bids yourself, or do you let them?
We
Okay,
will.
so you have your property manager get some bids, and you kind of, hey, we're going to go off and find our own bids, and then let's see what we get.
Yeah, we could check it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then as kind of we wrap up here, I've had the pleasure of having dinner with you and your lovely daughter, and you have kind of kids that are in college age or recent graduates. So any suggestions on, involving your kids in your business, and, is that something that you're all doing? Have you tried? And maybe just talk to that. And if there's any tips on that for the listeners.
Well, I think Gary's really good about showing Elena, our daughter, what's going on and how this works. And she has always been such a great blessing in helping with all of these resident impact projects. That she's very involved with that. And
now, this is her inheritance. You better learn how to manage it.
There you go.
Our son, we have a younger son who's hanging out at home now. He's last year at A&M, but he's doing virtual school, so we're talking about this all the time. And he's really interested in how this works. So I think, the more they understand, the more they see us enjoying it. They see what we're doing. They're always seeing the things that are happening, the activities. I'm way more excited about this in medicine. None of our kids went into medicine. Hopefully they go into this. Yeah.
We'll take different things, whatever we feel that would benefit them.
Yeah, don't go into medicine, whoever's listening.
Go into the other multifamily. Awesome. Well, what advice do you have for people getting into the business, both passives and first-time speakers?
Yeah, I would say jump into whatever, as big as you can, where your fear lets you go. Don't, if you're too afraid, then just scale it back, but jump in, because
you got to start learning someplace.
Yeah, and it's an educational cost. So pay for mentorship, pay for education, and if you just count the cost, and if it doesn't work out, well, it's an education cost.
Yeah, we pay for college. This is the next step after that.
And it's way more worth it.
Nice. And so how can our listeners get in touch with you?
So we just started a new kind of name. We want to transform multifamily and bring in this whole kind of nonprofit collaboration. So it's just transformmultifamily.com is our website, transformmultifamily@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to reach us.
And it's a transformation for everybody involved. I mean, it's been for our marriage, and that we've had to learn how to really communicate and
work together.
But it develops us as people too, and then we're transforming our staff, or we're transforming the property. So and hopefully encouraging others to be proactive in transforming their communities. So it will hopefully be an exponential transformation in multifamily.
Yeah, I'm no longer a caterpillar, I'm a butterfly.
Nice. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being so gracious with your time. This has been super helpful, and thanks again.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, it's been fun.